All right. Hi. Good morning, Brian. Thanks for joining me today.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Brian, can you tell our listeners a bit about you and what you do at DIRECTV?
Sure. My name is Brian Cordes. I am Vice President Client Partnerships at DirecTV. Been here for about 12 years, so throughout the evolution of the last decade, and it's been a great run.
Okay, so Brian, for anyone who isn't familiar with the DIRECTV remote, can you give us a little snippet or synopsis, if you will, of what it is and what it represents in the out-of-home advertising space?
Sure. You probably are more familiar than you think about it because you probably see it in your daily life. Certainly have over the years. So DirecTV has always been a company. When you think of DirecTV, I think I'd consider it a household name, but it's really been built on our residential and our household footprint. So delivering live TV and content to your home. But over the past 25 years, the commercial footprint has been growing. So we provide live TV to most, major airlines, for the top airlines, hotels, bars, restaurants, small and medium businesses. So that commercial piece is what we've now turned on from an advertising standpoint, allowing brands to target messages to those locations specifically, which is new since 2025.
Okay, so Brian, you mentioned a couple examples of different screens, and the convergence of video and out of home overall is a conversation that the industry's been having for quite some time. So, what would you say is different right now about the state of convergence today compared to, say, 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah, it's moving fast. I mean, obviously, the idea of digital out of home and CTV video, there's a lot of things that are very similar about the two. Most notably that both are video creative. I think, but there are some differences too. I think that when you're purchasing it, the level of data can be different. Creative can sometimes be different, but programmatic is really linking the two. The idea that you can programmatically now purchase CTV and digital out of home through the same platform is bringing those two things together. And again, I think there's always going to be somewhat of differences, but as the technology has brought it together, I think it's allowing people to buy more seamlessly across these two different ecosystems.
Okay, and you mentioned airports and hotels. So travel behavior has changed pretty significantly coming out of the pandemic years. How are some of those shifts showing up from what you're seeing on the advertising side?
Yeah, it's up. We looked at some numbers and travel's up 6% since 2019. So it continues to grow over 950 million passengers in 2025. So, and we're obviously that's exciting. It's exciting that people are getting out there, and we're just looking to reach them in a relevant way while they're on that trip. We've always seen airport advertising has always been a huge business, and but in-flight has been kind of complicated. It hasn't really been there throughout the years in the same way that it is today. So I think what this is allowing us to do is reach those travelers while they're in the plane, which is obviously a very captive space and a great opportunity for a brand to make a connection with a potential customer.
Yeah. There's also an assumption in some parts of the media buying world that a digital out of home impression is a digital out of home impression, regardless of context. So, what would you say to a media planner or an agency planner that's evaluating your inventory purely on a CPM basis?
Yeah, I think it's a little. I think there are differences and there are nuances, and I think that's the beauty of media. And I think that's why we have a lot of smart people at the agencies and the clients trying to understand these nuances because there's value a lot of different places. I think for us, we look at it. This is a non-skippable captive audience, especially from an in-flight perspective. It's watching your TV, or a hotel. It's in your hotel room, or a bar, premiumly placed above in that location. I think one of the big differences that we have built here is I think that our screens are built truly for the customer. So they are in the best locations, whether it's in a plane, at a hotel, at a bar. And that's unique in out of home. Out of home obviously delivers a ton of value, but a lot of times those screens are built to, they drive great incremental revenue, but they're not the central location or central, aspect of that experience. Whereas in a plane, seat back is obviously right in front of you. You can touch it. Hotel, it's always right in the middle of the room. So I think that's a huge differentiator for us because we didn't build this for advertising. We built this for customers, and advertising has always been there, but this now the ability to target that advertising more specifically, two locations, two planes, really makes this a very different and unique proposition, something truly we haven't seen in this space ever before.
And so at DirecTV, so you're expanding, beyond airlines into hotels and other small and medium-sized businesses. You mentioned bars. How do you think about the strategic logic of that expansion, and what does it mean for advertisers in terms of how they can use that inventory?
I think it's different because of the technology that we've now brought into the space. So again, the idea of being able to advertise in an airport or a plane or in a bar or a hotel, it's not necessarily a new idea, right? This has been around in the out home space for a long time. I think the changes that we're making are the technology is now allowing it to move so much faster. So in an airplane, for example, you can now target direct flights. We have brands coming in targeting flights connecting the World Cup cities this summer, right? Or flights in and out of major conferences like CES, or just top 10 DMAs that brand finds important. That ability to target those direct flights is completely new. The ability from a hotel perspective to buy that programmatically and again, focus on important geos or locations. This is a new idea. It's new to the space. And I think that's why, we're seeing the success that we have, but it's about education too.
So when you think about how out-of-home media is planned and transacted today, what do you think is the biggest change you're anticipating in terms of how that inventory would be planned and transacted, say, 5 years from now? And also, where does DirecTV fit into that future?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. This isn't necessarily an original thought, but certainly, programmatic is changing everything. So the ability to purchase programmatically will only continue to grow. I think more and more inventory will be enabled programmatically, which is going to increase that scale. So I think 5 years from now, I think that's one of the things that we're certainly going to see kind of omnipresent. I think where we're also really trying to take the space is just from a measurement standpoint. And our broader CTV business, we are able to close the loop. There's a lot we can do from a measurement standpoint. And we built this company really, the ad side of this company is really an addressable TV, which is so focused on measurement. And we're really trying to take a lot of those learnings and see how we can apply it to our other opportunities from, whether that be CTV or digital out of home standpoint outside of the home. So I think hopefully we can make some great strides there. And I think that's one change you'll probably hopefully see, in the next 5 years, how we can make out of home um, just better measured.
Okay, yeah, I think measurement is definitely a hot topic in the entire video advertising industry, from out of home to uh, CTV and the convergence and everything in between. So, for a
Yeah.
brand marketer or an agency planner who might be watching this but maybe hasn't yet considered the DirecTV remote as a part of their out of home or video strategy, what is the biggest takeaway that you want them to have?
I would say just forget everything you think you knew about in-flight or hotel advertising. Like I said, this is not the idea of advertising in a plane or hotel is not new, as I mentioned, but the technology has changed those capabilities, right? So 10, 15 years ago, if you wanted to advertise on a plane, they were literally putting thumb drives in that plane and lead time to load the creative and lead time of those campaigns were, 90 plus days, which just doesn't work. And that up and still some major airlines are still doing it that way. Right. Um, and they make you buy nationally. What we're doing is we're allowing, again, the technology we've rolled out allows, lead times to be days, not months, creative flexibility, allowing you to target into certain locations. And that's new. That's unique. That's not something that has ever been available in the in-flight space. So I think these ideas of, creative speed to market flexibility is a total game changer. And I think we are seeing a lot of success in the space, but we're new, right? So I think what we're doing now is continuing to educate. And, we're seeing a lot of success by the people that we've met with and they're already running campaigns. And hopefully that just grows over time. That's the hope.
All right, there's a lot of exciting momentum to watch. Thanks for joining me today, Brian.